The film opens with three men driving in their car late at night on a highway. In the car are Henry Hill, Ray Liotta, Jimmy Conway, Robert De Niro, and Tommy DeVito, Joe Pesci. We now go back several decades to see the events that will lead up to this scene. We go back to the early 1980s to see what was happening at the time. We now go to the present day to see how the world has changed. In the 1950s, young Henry Hill idolizes the Lucchese crime family gangsters in his blue-collar, predominantly Italian neighborhood in East New York, Brooklyn. The local mob capo, Paulie Cicero, Paul Sorvino, and his close associate Jimmy Conway, De Niro, help cultivate Henry's criminal career. Henry is teamed up with the young Tommy and the two sell cartons of cigarettes. While selling them, two detectives show up and confiscate the money and the load, arresting Henry. Henry goes to court and is given a slap on the wrist. Jimmy gives him a substantial reward for his silence. As adults, Henry and Tommy conspire with Conway to steal much of the billions of dollars of cargo passing through John F. Kennedy International Airport. They help out in a key heist, stealing over $500,000 from the Air France cargo terminal. Over the years, Henry's friends become increasingly daring and dangerous. Conway loves hijacking trucks, and Tommy has an explosive temper and a psychotic need to prove himself through violence. Henry meets and falls in love with Karen, Lorraine Bracco, a no-nonsense young Jewish woman. Karen feels uneasy with her boyfriend's career, but is also turned on by it. Henry and Karen eventually marry. In 1970, Tommy, aided by Jimmy Conway, brutally murders Billy Batts, Frank Vincent, a made man in the competing Gambino crime family. The murder is a major offense that could get them all killed by the Gambinos if discovered. Henry, Conway and DeVito bury Batts' corpse in an abandoned field. When they discover 6 months later that the land has been sold, they are forced to exhume, move, and rebury the body. Henry's marriage deteriorates when Karen finds he has a mistress, Janice Rossi, Gina Mastrogiacomo. Henry is visited at Janice's apartment by Jimmy and Paulie, who tell him that his philandering is bad for business. Henry and Jimmy are caught and sent to prison for 4 years. Henry deals drugs to the other prisoners to keep afloat and to support his family. Paulie warns Henry against dealing drugs, since mob bosses can get hefty prison sentences. Jimmy Conway and friends plan and successfully carry out a record $6 million off-screen heist from the Lufthansa cargo terminal at JFK Airport. Jimmy grows increasingly paranoid when some of his associates foolishly flaunt their gains in plain sight, possibly drawing police attention. Sunday, May 11, 1980 is an extended, virtuoso sequence. In it, the paths of Henry's complicated mafia career collide. Henry and Lois are arrested by the police as he backs out of his driveway. Lois demands that Henry take her home so she can get her lucky hat, which she won't fly without. Henry and his family are left penniless. After Henry's arrest, Paulie and the rest of the mob abandon him. Henry meets a final time with Paulie, who chastises him for lying about his drug dealing. Paulie gives him a few $1,000s and turns his back on him. Henry decides to become an informant for the FBI. He and his family enter the Federal Witness Protection Program. He testifies against Paulie and Jimmy in court. The movie's quick final shot is of Tommy firing a pistol directly into the camera. The film closes with a few title cards, over Sid Vicious's version of My Way, showing what became of Hill, Paulie Cicero, Vario, and Jimmy Conway. Burke. Henry's marriage to Karen ended in separation, with her getting custody of their children. Paulie and Conway will spend practically the rest of their lives